Welcome everybody. So, quick disclaimer, this is going to be an important one for this video for you competitively minded folk, or for any new viewer who is looking at this hack out of context. All these buffs and changes are balanced for in-game, and although, people might, anybody who knows nothing about this hack and is just looking at this and thinking, oh my god, he buffed Toxapex, what the fuck? Every Pokemon warrants buffs or changes in this hack. Every Pokemon is a lot stronger. Toxapex buffs are actually much more in the form of the move pool than it is in the stats, because just plus 10 to HP is not that big of a difference, although it is a good enough difference. The main buffs here are actually Black Sludge, which is a huge buff for every single poison type in the game, of which there are also many new ones. Black Sludge deals double that it used to, so that's insane, especially with Baneful Bunker in this case. You can poison the opponent and then you get 24 HP over the course of 2 turns, but like I said at the beginning of the video, all these buffs and changes are balanced for in-game, so it's, obviously Black Sludge that heals 12% HP is completely unreasonable and competitive, but that's not what this is. So it's just kind of fun, and it's also my favorite type. I love poison. And yeah, so Toxapex is a lot better just based on that Black Sludge buff, just based on moves like Parting Shot being widely distributed. Just for options, it's nice for defensive counterplay against all the offensive bullshit in the hack. The hack is it's definitely balanced around hardcore Nuzlocke, and it's also sort of balanced around team locked Nuzlocke, which means you can't switch your Pokemon around in your PC willingly unless they die. So that's why a lot of Pokemon have stuff like Parting Shot and all these other utility moves. So it's nothing special. I also think Parting Shot, there's a lot of weird ones I give it to, but I think it actually fits Toxapex pretty well. It's this kind of baneful looking, not baneful, I just use that word because it's there. This kind of like, not evil looking dude, but he's kind of like a nasty looking dude, under the little tentacles that make the little bunker. I think Parting Shot actually fits very well. So yeah, Regenerator, Parting Shot, plus the buff to Black Sludge, plus a bunch of other really good move buffs and changes as well. It's a great buff for Toxapex, all right? Merciless is a lot more viable now. All Pokemon are balanced to have 2 viable abilities that they can switch between with an infinite usability capsule in this hack. Regenerator being the obvious defensive choice, and then Merciless actually is really good. That's the main reason I boosted Special Attack, by the way, because I understand probably like 83 would be more reasonable for Toxapex, but in the context of this hack, 93 is pretty reasonable for Toxapex. There are Pokédex entries that talk about how potent this poison is, and there's one about it's poison is so toxic that a Pokemon as large as Wailord will still be suffering. So I think having a good special attack stat fits, and that's why Merciless is awesome. A bunch of other Pokemon have Merciless. Gengar, Alolan Muck, one other is coming up, and there's a few more. What's one more? Vileplume, and then there's more that are coming up. And that's a great ability, because Toxapex is widely distributed. Venoshock is 70 base power, so with Merciless, Venoshock does a 140 base power move that always crits. T-Spikes in general in-game are very good because, of course, the AI isn't going to have hazard removal moves, so if you get up a layer of T-Spikes via TM, which you can reteach, that's the other beautiful part about T-Spikes, there is no move learner until the end of the game, so having that reteachable Toxic Spikes TM is beautiful for all types of Pokemon that get it now. It's a very widely distributed move, so you don't even have to run it all on Toxapex itself if you don't want to. But another really good thing that you can do with Merciless, so you have Hex and Venoshock, and then you have Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will always crit. Hydro Cannon functions like Draco Meteor. By the way, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. If you are new here, or it's your first impression of my hack, please do check out the description. There is a link to the Google Sheet that I'm sharing right now, and there's this nice handy-dandy little move guide that took me several months alone to make. There are 600 plus move buffs and changes that are organized into a lot of different categories that you should really give a look, because every single move for the most part is buffed or changed, and those really impact the way that the Pokemon function now. But what was I saying? Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is like Draco Meteor. There's tons of new moves. There's basically one move for every type, at least, that does that effect now. So it's like Draco Meteor, so it drops special attack step by 2, 150 base power. So if you have Merciless, meaning if the opponent is poisoned, either from T-Spikes or just with a regular poisoning move, not only is Venoshock doubled, but Hydro Cannon won't miss. So you basically have 140 and 150 base power stab moves that have 0 drawbacks. It's insane. Really, really viable. I also never mentioned this in the other Merciless videos, but I know Alolan Muck can do it with Twilight Cannon. Vileplume can do it with Frenzy Plant and Leaf Storm later on. Yeah, and there's more that are coming out. I think will do the same thing, but it's really sick, super sick option. Very, very strong. Definitely worth using. It's not a meme anymore for certain boss fights, especially totems, because crits also bypass defensive boosts. So if they have like a defense boost, you can click Toxic or Baneful Bunker, for example. If they make contact, and you can click Venoshock and kill them. Maybe not one-shot them, but you'll be doing a lot more damage than if you just click raw Venoshock with Regenerator. But Regenerator is still beautiful. You'll still be using that for most fights at the end of the day, because it's a bulky pivot. It's got Parting Shot. It's got Taunt. It's got even stuff like Soak is great for totems. Confide. In-game stat drops are basically permanent. because unless the AI either has a crit move, which they probably will in a lot of cases, or they use a switch move, which they will have. But in most cases, it's still a permanent drop. So Confide, dropping special attack and special defense is really cool. Recover, I wouldn't even say you need Recover, honestly, with that Black Sludge and the Baneful Bunker and stuff. You don't need Recover in-game, although you can still keep it. I would, it's still worth keeping, especially if you're running a Toxic set. I would say it's definitely worth it. But yeah, Baneful Bunker, Black Sludge, Toxic Stall is also very viable in-game versus a lot of tougher fights that you don't have any other answers for. You can just Toxic Stall them out. Your HP is still pretty poor, so there's a lot of bulkier stuff in this hack, by the way. There's way bulkier things, and there's bulkier things that have Regenerator as well. So Toxapex is nothing special anymore. It's just another great defensive Pokemon that can also do some cool offensive stuff. Like most other defensive Pokemon in the game, they're not like passive. There's a couple that are still passive, but most are not. Most can actually do a lot of offensive stuff too. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I guess I can say like Haze, Priority Haze is really cool for totems. Foul Play is pretty cool. You got decent coverage options. Nature Power under Terrain with a Terrain ally can give you Energy Ball or Thunderbolt or Psychic or Moonblast. Weather Ball can give you a Fire move or a Rock move. Of course, Water and Ice don't matter. Although early game, those are good because you don't have like Ice Beam yet. Stockpile, Swallow, and Spew Out are awesome. Stockpile is now changed. Well, rather, Swallow is changed. Stockpile is the same. Swallow is a priority move that will heal you to 100% HP no matter how many Stockpile boosts you have. So you get up one Stockpile, you do whatever you want to do, you click Toxic. 3 turns later, you Swallow when you're on red HP. Say you're on red HP, I'm on 10% HP. You click Swallow, you heal up 100%. No matter what, priority as well. So you outspeed whatever the opponent's going to do to you. It's a beautiful option for Toxapex. I would definitely run that. Super fun. Spew Out is also a good option. And then you have Acid Spray. Spew Out is like Acid Spray, so it's 100 to 300 base power, and it removes your stockpile boost, and it drops special defense by 4. Acid Spray also drops special defense by 4, and that's 50 base power now, so that's a much stronger move. Definitely worth keeping. That can be your only offensive move in some cases. Acid Reflux always poisons and drops special defense by 4 as well, and that's reteachable via Tutor, which is nice, because Toxic is not. So, you might need to delete it someday for a certain boss fight, and then you have Acid Reflux to poison, and T-Spikes to poison via TM, if you did end up deleting Baneful Bunker or Toxic. You also have Barb Barrage, which will always poison, which is pretty cool. Merciless, although your attack stat is low. I wanted to make them more physical, but then I realized that Hydro Cannon and Venoshock are way cooler with Merciless, so I opted to make them more special, even though you could argue that physical makes more sense since they have those like spikes and stuff. Its physical attack stat was actually higher, so there's definitely an argument there, but I think both are relatively fitting. Excuse me. Bubble Barrage, Sludge Sling, dropping speed is really nice. Torment is good with Baneful Bunker. That's beautiful because, of course, like I said, the AI won't switch out. So you can use Torment to like block one of their main moves. So you have Torment, Baneful Bunker, Black Sludge, Toxic. That's like a good set. There's so many different things you can do. Really, it's up to you. It's up to your IVs and EVs. Sorry, your EVs are easily... you can change around your EVs at will, but your IVs and your nature is what I meant to say. Those are easily going to impact what type of sets you run. For example, if you had like a plus special attack nature, I'd run Merciless sets more often. Meanwhile, if I had like a shit IVs for attack and minus special attack IVs, I probably wouldn't even bother with Merciless, besides for certain situations. But yeah, in general, there we go. Another great defensive tool, all types of crazy defensive stuff in this hack to, again, balance out all the crazy offensive stuff. Really nothing crazy, just a good Pokemon. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll be back for more Alola buffs and changes coming up. Peace, y'all.